I tried to leave the iPhone, but I keep coming back. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And once again in 2025, I tried to use the Android devices, the Pixel as well as the S25 Ultra, even the Z Fold 7 as my main driver. But I wasn't able to complete that. Now, I do actually have SIMs for both Android and iPhone, but I just kept coming back to the iPhone. So let's talk about why in this video. First of all, let me just state, I personally don't think that the iPhone is the best phone out there in terms of, like, if you want to talk about a sheer spec sheet, a sheer technical thing. You know, there are phones out there that do everything better in certain areas. But overall, I feel like it's the best phone that I keep coming back to. And it's definitely in the top devices out there for sure. But generally, I noticed the immediate positives of the Android devices when I leave, like a Samsung S25 Ultra, and that is its productivity, its multitasking, its really nice specs and just feeling very nice. But what tends to bring me back to the iPhone is generally that I feel like the software is where it lies. I like the automatic fast updates that we get pretty regularly here on the iPhone. They come in very regularly. I like the software's layout. I think it is categorically defined here within the app library. We do see that on OnePlus devices as well now. But I do like the software and the applications. I think just the way it looks just kind of looks more polished, a little bit more premium. And I tend to prefer that, but it's not just that only. What it is also is that this software is kind of like doesn't do so much by comparison to the iPhones that, or to the Android phones, that it kind of just flows in the background, almost feels appliance like just something you don't think about, like a microwave or like a, you know, like your Toyota or like your, you know, refrigerator, you know, just, and when I say those things, I'm saying like the basic ones. If you have a Toyota, for example, I'm discussing like maybe, you know, your standard LE Camry, something like that, or your standard Maytag refrigerator or your GE microwave. You know what I'm saying? Like just your appliance. It kind of feels like that, and you just kind of stop thinking about it. And that's kind of something that matters when you are, you know, managing multiple things daily in this modern era, in this modern world. With the Samsung, I do feel a little bit more distracted. I like it, don't get me wrong. I think it's the best phone of 2025 in terms of when I talk about everything on the device. But it's so colorful, it's so vibrant, it's so fun. I just want to play with this phone all day. I find myself super invested. Like, look at all these watch faces I was playing with. I find myself super playing with this phone a lot, with the theme parks. It almost, I'm not saying it's toy-like some of the older Samsung phones with their software was a little bit more colorful and vibrant than even this. But it's just fun, and I want to play with it. I find myself spending many more hours just messing around on this device. At the same time, it doesn't have its best battery life. Now, the negatives of, you know, staying on the iPhone have been basically I don't get all those productivity features. It can feel a little bit boring sometimes, but the Cosmic Orange has lifted up the external feel to it. Like the hardware is vibrant and probably one of the better colors that we've seen in a while. So that helps out quite a bit. But when we talk about frustrations, you know, what made me miss the iPhone right away is right there, iMessage, you know, the iMessage experience, FaceTime, of course, those are crucial lock-ins to the software. We understand that by now. But generally, it's also the App Store. I really like a lot of the apps in the App Store. It's been pretty nice. And I just like the way iOS fonts look. I haven't mentioned that too much before, but I know it sounds like a little minor thing, but I just like the way the text and the fonts look on iOS. I think they look very nice. And also, I like the polish of a lot of the applications. I do feel like developers tend to update their apps very frequently and give you some of the newest apps available to the iPhone first. I also like the automatic update system on the software side and just how frequently Apple squashes bugs when they are ready. So it just kind of feels like something that gets out of the way of your life versus something you have to micromanage daily. That's one of the things I miss about iPhone when I did try to leave it, and it's something that brought me back to the product, even though I don't think it's doing everything I want it to do, but it's still doing enough to make it still a usable device for sure. Now, daily usage, we could talk about Pixel, we could talk about iPhone. These devices right here, they definitely have better daily usage things. Like the Pixel is a little bit better, actually a lot better in the AI stuff. The camera to me is more simple. It just processes the photo and it always turns out very nicely. I do think that the Google experience is a little bit of a smarter phone for sure. And I just love the look of the software as well on the Pixel. It's also very nice on here on this Pixel device. But when we talk about, daily usage, when it comes to the daily usage, the iPhone just seems tried and true. It just doesn't seem like there's a lot to think about with this product. I mean, look at this. This customization is dead simple right here. We do have clear, dark default. And I actually found it kind of amusing because when I was in the Apple store, I did see them teaching. They have like those classes on the screens. I see them teaching people how to use this. And, I understand not everybody is going to be able to understand that right away. But I just feel like this is just so easy that it probably doesn't really require too many classes to understand. It's just very simple. Just tap the icon and it changes. So they really do make this very customer first focus and very everybody can learn it. Now on the Pixel over here, I do like its daily usage as well. It's very fast, but when it comes to customization, it's a little bit more, a few steps down. You'll see over here, we'll go into colors and you'll have to go through those right there. And this is a little bit more simple than a Samsung phone, but still you'll find a little bit more steps to, like you'll find a few more steps to dive deeper into the customization. So the Pixel can be a little bit more, customized than the iPhone over here, but Samsung's the same way. We can dive deep into the day-to-day, but daily usage, the iPhone just seems tried and true. It just seems like it just gets out of your way. Don't have to think about it a lot. And I really, it makes me come back to it, especially when you're in busy times and you're getting things done around day-to-day around the house, whatever, on the road, whatever you're doing. And you don't even think about this phone. It just feels like something that just sits there in your pocket. Not saying the other ones don't either. I don't think about them too much either, but when I start playing with them, I start to get a little distracted with the Samsung, and then on the Pixel, I want to play with that too because I like the theming and the customization, the AI features. I get a little bit invested in those phones a little bit more, if you know what I'm saying. Like you just want to use them a little bit more because they're just a little bit more fun to use overall. And when we talk about day-to-day, the ecosystem on the iPhone with Apple Watch, with the Mac specifically, I'm always going to go back to that. It's still very, very tight and seamless. Like there's second to none, really. I mean, with the Pixel, you have really nice Pixel watches, but where is the iPad competitor? We do have a Pixel tablet that docks up to, a speaker, but we're not talking an iPad Pro competitor. We're not talking a Pixel laptop. They used to have them, but Chromebook style. We're not talking MacBook competitors over there. Over here, you have Galaxy Book competitors, but there's Windows, so they don't match up with the Android, as well as Apple matches up with macOS because they're all kind of like more tightly integrated. So that ecosystem in the day-to-day truly brings you back into the system. Now, why I keep coming back to the iPhone is for the camera too. I actually got used to the camera control button here. So when you use this phone every day, you kind of get used to using this and it becomes like a muscle memory type of thing where your brain just kind of doesn't even think about it. You just click that button and you're in. And you kind of get used to just hitting it like this and not really using those double tap features. I mean, you can use them, but I find myself not really using those. Those are a little bit finicky. But generally that's nice. And then when you get used to this ultra wide front facing camera, every other camera looks like it's super zoomed in on your face. So I tried to use some other phones and I kept thinking about why would I use this when I have the iPhone that can zoom in closer to my face or zoom out further away from the face. Excuse me. I was just saying further out, but further out to get more people in the group shot. So that's just a bit better. And the cameras themselves also do a bit better when uploading to social media. A lot of people can tell very easily you're not using an iPhone if you post an image and it looks a little bit different. And when it comes to shorts and TikToks and all that stuff, I don't think it's going to be that noticeable. People are more invested in what you're talking about versus the camera quality. But when we're talking about like things like Instagram stories, Snapchats, those type of things, these phones are probably king of those type of applications on the iPhone. Also, I did find that when I do video editing applications, when I look for those and like camera based apps, like for creators, I find there's just a little bit more on the iPhone. So let's go ahead and put video editing. They just have really nice polished video editing apps. And a lot of them did make their way to Android as well. But you'll see like iMovie is an Apple exclusive. The Canva app is pretty similar on both, so we can't talk too much about that. They both have LumaFusion, but they first made this on iPhone, so it's kind of like been updated more, and they do have it on the Android side and Galaxy Store as well. But not every Android probably supports that, so you got to look out for that one. KineMaster's on both, but I'm saying if you kind of look through these in photo editing, for example, you're going to find just a lot of really polished apps, as well as the camera. Like if you look for an extra camera, like if you want to dive a little bit deeper into what your camera is capable of, they have a lot of these creative apps, and it's just a good experience in that department. Now for number 7, you try to leave for battery, but then you come back, especially to the Max and the Pro. Even the smaller Pro is really strong. I would argue that this smaller Pro is probably close to the S25 Ultra in battery life, whereas this one is just easily beating it. I actually found the Pixel to do a bit better than the S25 Ultra in my battery test, but real world differences is what's really strong on the iPhone is the battery kind of adapts to your usage, which is, they all kind of do that these days, but this one really tends to last and last, especially on standby time. If you leave this thing sitting around and you're not using it too much, it barely sips battery, like very, very slowly. And then of course you have your battery modes and stuff like that. But generally, I find it to just last and last and last. This has been the best battery life experience and since the 13 Pro Max, but really, it's very reliable. It doesn't charge super fast, but it doesn't charge super slow either. It's kind of in that middle ground, but it just lasts. And while there is an Android device that does better than all of these phones on the table right here, it's right here, the OnePlus 15. Where I like the iPhone more is the camera over the 15. And the screen. Now the screen is pretty minimal bezels here, but it doesn't look quite as bright and sharp as the iPhone screen, but it's still very good nonetheless. It's slightly less sharp though, but the OnePlus has a really strong battery backup by comparison to most of these phones up here. Now, Apple pulls you back with their, social media, friends compatibility as well, especially if you're here in the United States. Most people are using iPhone devices, so you kind of, when you're using iPhone, more than likely 9 times out of 10 people around you are using iPhone. So that is a draw that's for sure. Now, for my international viewers out there, people outside of the US, of course, we already know that not everybody is using iPhone in different places, so it's not even a relevant discussion in certain places. But at the same time, being from the States here, this is just kind of like a thing here. We people around you, most of the time you're not going to have everybody having an Android. Now I am seeing that a lot of people are starting to adopt these devices. I'm seeing them a little bit more in public. More people are picking them up and they're becoming a little bit more popular for sure, especially the Samsung devices. I don't see Pixels all the time, but I see them occasionally. The iPhone still reigns supreme. They're still the one that's most compatible. Most people are using. I mean, even when you see advertisements for certain things, it's usually the iPhone that's going to be on that advertisement for something. Like if they're telling you to do something on your phone, you're going to see that advertisement there. So it's just super compatible, and it kind of brings you back in. And so when you combine those factors, those are the key triggers that keep pulling me back here. Now, I don't like everything about this phone. I feel like the iPhone series is kind of stale. They don't really push the boundaries. I do want to see what they do with folding phones this year. I really hope they bring the folding iPhone. I hope it's not just a rumor. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it is coming, but that's going to be a game-changing experience. Also, the battery life, if they go thicker, I'm not so sure I'm going to love the next Max, because this one's already kind of a brick. I would like a bigger screen, but not necessarily a thicker, heavier, hefty phone. I mean, you could probably go a little bit heavier, but we don't want to get too heavy because this is already a brick to hold in the pocket. It is smooth to hold. I do like that, but it is slippery at the same time. But really, it's not perfect. Dynamic Island still sticks out like a sore thumb. It doesn't charge the fastest. Again, it's not changed extraordinarily a lot, but they do have the two-tone design, which is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, You know, when you combine the software update reliability, the ecosystem, the compatibility, the cameras being on point, super triple 48 megapixel cameras, these things are on point right here. Yes, the Pixel can beat it in certain processing areas. Yes, the Samsung can beat it in zooming areas. Yes, the OnePlus can beat it in battery life. But when we talk about a whole package, you know, the things that actually matter in the real world, this phone gets out of your way, gets the job done, and it's just excellent. So that's kind of what brings me back here, even though I try to leave it. So I'm gonna stick around on the iPhone this year, but also going to continue to test and use the Android devices throughout the year. I can't wait for that S26 Ultra. I am going to be keeping my Android SIM in there for now, and we'll see if I come back over here as the main driver. But as of now, it's not looking like that, especially as I see the exciting rumors of an iPhone Fold. I've been loving the Z Fold 7, so seeing a Fold, ooh, that's a little bit, it's nasty over there. Let me go ahead and wipe that down. But like, seeing an iPhone Fold rumor definitely makes me excited, especially considering how good the Z Fold 7 has gotten. So we'll see if Apple can bring out their first attempt being pretty nice, but we can't bank on it. We'll have to see what happens. So if you found this video helpful or entertaining or just informing, enjoyable to watch, do me a favor, click the like button for me. Lets the algorithm know that you're enjoying these videos and showcase more to you and others. And thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.